Has the American dream become an elusive fantasy for the middle class? It's a question many are asking as they grapple with the present state of the middle class. The economic challenges faced by this group are daunting, to say the least. Over the past decade, the middle class has seen a stark decline, a reality that's as disturbing as it is undeniable. The once robust purchasing power of the middle class has been eroded, shrinking faster in the last 10 years than it did between the years 1970 and 1990. This is largely due to the skyrocketing cost of living in the United States. Median home prices have leapt from a modest $117,000 in the 70s to a staggering nearly $450,000 today. This is the conundrum of the middle class, a puzzling predicament that leaves many scratching their heads. So, what brought us here? Let's take a step back in time. In the 1950s to 1970s, often termed the Golden Era, saw the American middle class at its peak, a time of prosperity, job creation, and affordable education and housing. But as we moved into the 1980s, things began to change. The 1980s brought with it a significant shift in America's economic landscape. Suddenly, the world was getting smaller as globalization took center stage. Emerging economies were now competing with the United States, leading to the outsourcing of jobs to countries where labor was cheaper. This, in turn, began to chip away at the job security once enjoyed by the American middle class. At the same time, technological advancements were rapidly reshaping the workforce. Automation and computerization began to replace traditional middle-class jobs. While this technological revolution created new opportunities in sectors like information technology, many middle-class Americans found themselves ill-equipped to adapt to these changes. Adding fuel to the fire, changes in government policies further deepened the economic divide. Tax reforms favored the wealthy, and deregulation allowed corporations to wield more power. As a result, the rich got richer, while wage growth for the middle class remained sluggish. The 1990s did little to reverse this trend. In fact, the decade witnessed a further widening of income inequality. The top 1% of earners saw their wealth balloon, while the middle and lower income groups struggled to keep pace. The American dream, once so attainable for the middle class, began to feel more like a mirage. The promise of upward mobility, the cornerstone of the American middle-class ethos, started to waver. The vision of a comfortable life, with a steady job, a house in the suburbs, and a secure retirement, seemed increasingly out of reach. And yet, amid these challenges, the middle class remained resilient. They continued to work, to innovate, and to strive for a better future. But the economic tides were turning, and the middle class found themselves swimming against a powerful current. So, as the 20th century came to a close, the middle class stood at a crossroads. The economic prosperity they had once enjoyed was eroding, replaced by uncertainty and insecurity. And as we entered the new millennium, the middle class found themselves on shaky ground. The 21st century has been a period of struggle for the American middle class. It's a time marked by economic turbulence, with the Great Recession serving as a poignant symbol of this hardship. This financial crisis, which spanned from the end of 2007 through 2009, led to a significant loss of wealth and employment for middle-class households, leaving many struggling to recover even years later. But the Great Recession is just one piece of the puzzle. The economic challenges faced by the middle class in the 21st century extend far beyond a singular downturn. Another pressing issue is the skyrocketing cost of healthcare and education. Today, the average cost of a hospital stay is more than 5 times what it was in the 70s. Similarly, the cost of tuition at public universities has more than tripled since the 80s. These skyrocketing costs are not matched by a corresponding increase in wages. On the contrary, middle-class wages have remained stagnant, and in some cases have even declined when adjusted for inflation. This wage stagnation, coupled with rising costs, means that the middle-class dollar simply doesn't stretch as far as it used to. Job security, once a cornerstone of middle-class stability, has also diminished. With the rise of the gig economy and automation, traditional full-time jobs with benefits are becoming less common. Middle-class workers now face an increasingly precarious job market, where they must constantly adapt and upskill to remain competitive. These factors, the aftermath of the Great Recession, rising healthcare and education costs, stagnant wages, and diminishing job security, have all contributed to the decline of the middle class. They've created an environment where comfort and stability, once hallmarks of middle-class life, are increasingly out of reach. In the face of these challenges, what does the future hold for the American middle class? The future of the American middle class hangs in the balance. As we peer into the crystal ball of the future, we see potential solutions and policies that could help revive the middle class. One such proposal is increasing the minimum wage. This could help ensure that hardworking Americans earn a living wage and keep pace with the cost of living. Investing in education is another solution. By equipping our youth with the skills needed for the jobs of tomorrow, we can enable them to secure their place in the middle class. Finally, implementing progressive tax policies could help redistribute wealth and bridge the growing income gap. Of course, these solutions aren't a magic wand. They require political will, collective effort, and a shared belief in the value of a strong, vibrant middle class. The American dream may seem elusive, but with the right policies and collective effort, it can be within the reach of the middle class once again.